All right, and here we are. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams, and we are back. All right. We are back. This is the Working Title Show under our new format. Super excited. Had a little weather come in the last couple of days, but it looks like the sun is peeking out for the weekend. I'm Zach Sams, back with our. They're not even guest hosts anymore. We're all just like three hosts. Maybe we should rename the show.
Three Amigos.
I love the Three Amigos, and as long as we get to wear the outfits, that would be fun. What do you think?
I'm all right for that.
Yeah. Sombrero.
Yeah, we could. Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, we're back. This is the third show under the new format, and we're already getting more views. So y'all must. It's obvious. The case study is back. Y'all are far more popular than I ever was. So I'm glad that y'all are here. And
it's the charisma engine over here.
No.
Dallas is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a local celebrity.
He actually spews it through the interweb.
Yeah.
I have plenty of people who don't like my opinion. That's what they're tuning in for.
Well, that's good. That's how it made Howard Stern famous.
It did. Amen.
It was most people listened because they didn't like him.
Maybe we can get Robin to come on with us.
Villains. I love it. Sorry, Tip, you came on the show of villains here.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
But we do have a great guest today. If you've listened to the last couple episodes, we've been talking a lot about downtown Dallas. I think we'll talk more about some of that today. But Tip Housewright's with us. He's the principal over at Omniplan, one of the big powerhouse architecture firms here in Dallas.
Well, we're a long-time firm in Dallas.
Firm. You've done some
70 years. Yeah.
How long?
70.
70 years.
Yeah,
NorthPark.
You don't look old enough to have started that.
Yeah, well, I didn't. That's why.
All right.
That's why.
Who started the firm?
A gentleman named George Harrell and E.G. Hamilton.
Okay.
Founded the firm in 1956.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You're probably most famous for doing NorthPark, Highland Park Village.
NorthPark, we reworked Highland Park Village at the Holocaust Museum downtown.
You did NorthPark. Well,
yeah,
I bet
yeah,
you're every woman's favorite person.
Well, maybe, yeah. That was a really important project for our firm and for my generation. The founders did the one-story part, the original part, and my generation did the big addition and the two-story part.
Okay, so y'all did two phases of it over.
Over what, 30, 40 years apart.
One of the few malls that's really hanging on and continues doing great.
It's a credit to the local owners.
That's true.
The way they've stewarded that mall.
And the experience. They're not just designed about get tenants in.
Yeah.
They really have always done a great job of being oriented to the placemaking.
Yes.
And the people in there. They don't have kiosks. They're not trying to drive everything through. I mean, I think one of the key things every kid does growing up here is run up and slide down. That's what I think of when I think of NorthPark.
Well, that's a great point you made about not having kiosks. I hate those things.
That's right. They made some key decisions that people go in, and it's still, I believe, the number one tourist destination in Dallas. And it's such an important it's such an important economic engine. But people go and they keep going because they have such a good experience there.
Yeah. And they have a good experience because of Nancy Nasher.
Yes.
And so I'm so happy to hear that they bought it back and they have full control. I actually did a deal, this was 10 or 15 years ago. Pinto Ranch was in the backside. We put them in there and got in an argument with Nancy about, no, I didn't, our client about, she made them put in marble and the entire deal. Well, Pinto Ranch sells boots. And so back in the back, he wanted carpet because he didn't want to ruin his $1,500 to $2,500 boots. And she, it took a while. We finally got what we wanted, but her attention to detail and her meticulous nature about everything, we finally agreed to compromise. But nobody would pay attention to the flooring like that in the interior finish of a...
Well, it's also why, Washburn's Highland Park Village does so well. Both of those, it's the owners are so attuned to the entire experience and the landscaping and the parking, that It's not just, oh, I'm going shopping. People are going to go and have a good time.
Yes. Yeah, and it's going to be memorable.
Right.
There's something about it that you mentioned, experience, that it's memorable and it's unique, and they work on making it just a part of Dallas that everybody I think really feels like they kind of own them all. That's what you want. You want all the locals and the shoppers feel like, well, that's my mall.
Yeah.
Well, what's really interesting that is in the world where if I ask you how are malls doing, across the country, I think all of us would say probably doing pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
With some exceptions, but yes.
With some exceptions, and this is a great exception. But if you ask, going kind of to downtown, if we can make malls still like NorthPark is, where people are going to them and using them, and it's wildly successful, there's no reason why we couldn't have a successful downtown.
Yeah,
right. It's
I
just
think
about
that's
how
right.
you operate it.
You've got to treat it, like Nancy and David do over at NorthPark, where you're just really drilling into the details. And one of your previous shows with Jennifer Scripps, she did a good job talking about what they're doing downtown. Thank goodness we've got DDI.
Yeah.
But it's a heavy lift down there. I think we need more people working on that than just DDI.
Yeah, I said this on one of the shows. When I think about it, it reminds me of the Christmas Vacation when he hands Rusty the big ball of just tangled up lights. And it seems like Dallas just, no matter whenever you're talking about downtown, there's a roadblock at every potential solution, maybe.
Yeah, it's a really complex situation down there. You got AT&T likely leaving, big question marks around Neiman Marcus.
Yeah.
The continual lackluster office occupancy down there, the very high capital needs to convert buildings to residential. There's just a lot. There's a lot.
On the other hand, Morning News did a really great editorial piece last Sunday about if you compare where downtown was in 2025 versus 2000, there's some wonderful parks down there. Mm-hmm. And there are 15,000 people living downtown.
Mm-hmm. There were in 2000.
Like there were two buildings. I mean, they're
massive change.
Right, completely different. It's a neighborhood.
Yeah, there were less than 1,000
So there are some good things that have gone on downtown, and I think we tend to fixate on all the negative things.
Sure.
That being said, the negative things and the perception keep people from choosing it for office space, and you're going to have to change perception and reality.
Well, I can tell you, me and Tyler, after Jennifer was on the last show, we went downtown and put the totals because I never get in them.
Yeah.
And I was actually surprised. We did. It was actually kind of chilly that day, but we walked, I don't know, several blocks.
Yeah.
And
I went to the AT&T Discovery Center.
It is 100% true that I can say this, that when we were walking down, like I saw way less sketchy characters on the roads. Mm-hmm. I didn't get panhandled once.
And way more people out and about.
Walking. And it was a chilly day, and there was people walking all over the place. And it definitely, my perception was, almost 180 degrees from where it was the last time I remember being down there. And I was kind of like, kind of looking over my shoulders.
What do you think architecturally Dallas has going for itself? We have a great skyline.
We do have a great skyline, very iconic skyline. We've got a great arts district, some really terrific buildings there. The quality of the buildings at Uptown, is very high.
It is very high.
There are some great buildings in Uptown. We did two of them. That's I think really good news about the city. I still think that architecturally we're pretty conservative compared to, just go to Austin.
Sure.
There's some pretty bold buildings in Austin and some pretty iconic buildings that have sprung up in the last 10 or 15 years down there. We don't have any new tall buildings save for Museum Tower, which has a very complicated story. And
I like it. Gromadsky did a great job on that building, I feel like. It's a beautiful building.
It is a beautiful building, and if you say that, people immediately jump on you and tell you about all the problems that it created for the Nasher. Well, okay, it did. But nevertheless, if you just look, it is a beautiful building.
Problems it created for the what?
With the reflectivity.
Really? Started burning up all the plants
the reflective
trees.
glass, projects light down onto this garden at the Nasher Sculpture Center.
Oh.
And fries it.
Yeah.
So are they?
Been kind of in each, oh yeah, they've been at each other for 15 years, 10
Longer,
years.
maybe.
And they never settled. Nobody ever
I
resolved
thought they
it.
put a glaze on it or something.
No, well,
Oh, they
that
never
was
did?
that was one of the things they talked about. But
Okay.
to my knowledge, no one's ever done anything.
And that building didn't perform as well as they had hoped it would.
No, which leads to the police and fire issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, that there's just a barrier getting people. Now there's a barrier to getting people down there to work.
Yeah.
And it's a problem for DART too, because DART was really, at least conceptually in my mind, it's sort of a spoke and hub, and you had to have the rail was designed and everybody was going to work downtown.
Yeah.
And now not many people work downtown. You could argue not many people work, but that's a separate
Is
discussion.
this whole DART system that they were going to bring downtown done? Is that not happening anymore?
Well, it works. I mean, it works.
It's in
We'll
place.
see if we'll see if it continues.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Is it just not being used? Is that the issue?
You just have fewer people working.
So nobody has a reason to go down there.
Well, and you've had so many firms decide to move to Plano or to move to other places. I mean, occupancy downtown. I mean, it's just occupancy falls, and there's fewer retail options. I mean, it's just
And the people who live downtown, they're not jumping on the DART to go other places.
No.
That's right.
So there's no.
The ridership is so low, they said that if they bought every single person a Toyota on the DART, it would be cheaper than DART.
Wow.
I mean, the number in the Metroplex, the number of cars per household is rising,
right. So the only.
not falling. And some of that is that it's such a giant area. If you look at,
Oh, God.
driving, from Greenville to Weatherford, kind of from the edges,
Yeah.
is like,
Or Denville.
Indianapolis to Chicago.
Yeah.
But I think, I really think there's people, I know tons of people that work downtown that are attorneys and other professionals that will drive to the train, hop on, ride it down. I think that's a thing that can happen, especially
can.
with the Cotton Belt coming in, because traffic is getting to be real in Dallas. It really is becoming tough to get around.
Well, Tip, if you were a benevolent dictator and you could solve downtown
gosh.
Dallas, what would you do?
Yeah. Well, I think you've got to double down on making downtown a great place to live.
So you agree that bringing more residential is a good thing.
I think more residential, and I think you need a retail genius downtown to really get the retail and the restaurant. I mean, it's so much better than it was, but
Right.
continue to,
It needs to be a retail destination.
More like the design district where you don't know what you're necessarily going to eat, but they have a lot of great choices.
Right. Where you just have a great street where I just want to walk, 3 blocks of Commerce or Main, Elm, and just because it's an interesting walk.
That happened in the 70s,
Sure.
and maybe even into the 80s.
I remember those.
That's where Texas OU happened.
Yeah. So really working on the ground plane, the first floor experience, making it a great place to live. And then that in turn, I think will help it be a great place to work. I mean, that's how Uptown got going. Uptown was a great place to live. It had great restaurants. It had great shopping. Then all of a sudden the office guys showed up.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened in Uptown.
I mean, if you could walk to work, you'd probably choose to.
Yeah. And so if you just took that playbook from Uptown and applied it over a number of years in downtown, which I think is being done in large part, but really get behind that idea. That's what I would do.
So building the residential will continue to bring the base that will drive.
Get more people down there. More people down there 24 hours a day will make that environment more successful and more compelling for the office workers to be there.
Right. What about the older tired buildings? It seems, there's a lot of, if you look at downtown, there's a lot of buildings that aren't part of the iconic skyline that you see around there. What's the solution there?
I think those can be good buildings. I hear people talk about obsolete buildings. What's obsolete are the first 1, 2, 3 floors at the ground level. And those need to be reconfigured. Once you get up into your typical floor plates,
It's finishes.
it's fine. Yeah, they can be anything.
Is most of them able to be converted to residential, or is that a lot of times you hear people say like that that's an easy thing to say, but when you get into the building and the guts of it, it might not be plausible.
The easy ones have been done. which have the smaller floor plates. The 80s vintage buildings have floor plates more like we build now. They're really large, and so you end up with a lot of space from the window to the elevator core, and you know it's like you can't use all of it, or you can't use all of it well because of its lack of daylight, and so. That just increases the expense because you've got this square footage that's not really being used very well.
Right.
And there's only so many, little study nooks and home office places you can pack in the back and tenant storage and stuff. You know.
And people don't want to pay much for that.
People don't want to pay much for that. Yeah. But, you could just convert more buildings. It's just
a lot of them could do it, and maybe there are some that are kind of obsolete, but for the most part, something could be
one of the things, and I think I wrote about this a while ago, that when we talked, I know I did, about the Bank of America building, that Avalon's building, one of the problems with that building is it doesn't have enough parking. Yeah. And same with Comerica. Yeah. In a previous day, I guess people were willing to walk further, and Dallas had more surface lots.
Because that tower's been there a long time. It seems like everybody that's worked in there over the years had to get there.
There's a duality in downtown that we have at the same time, both too much parking and not enough parking. Yeah. And that's an absurd statement. Yeah. It just happens to be true.
Meaning it's the parking's not in the right spot.
That's exactly right. And if you're leasing, you want an office in any of these buildings, you want a whole floor, you want your people to be able to park in the building. Yeah. And I think younger workers particularly expect it. And there's the thought it's not safe, the homeless crime, all these other things. So, that's one of the other challenges of there are some good buildings. At the Comerica building, I think you'd agree, has potential. Beautiful. But it doesn't have good parking. It's not enough of it. Right. 1700 Pacific, you've got a lot of these buildings that when you start getting into what can it be, well,
How do you solve the parking issue? Because, that it's expensive, right? Yeah. So how do you make that work when that's prime real estate that could be used for other things?
The short answer is complicated, expensive, difficult. But other than that, at Republic Bank Complex, they actually put ramps in one of the office buildings and park on 2, 3, 4 levels at the bottom of the office building. And I talked to Sean Todd about this years ago on the building that he just did. I used to call it the Arco building, and then it was the TXU building, and then I don't know. But anyway, but he ended up, he didn't have to do that. He built a garage across the street. But that's something I would be looking at in some of these buildings downtown. It's not efficient, but it is a way to get some more parking in the building.
Right. Interesting.
We live in a radically different sort of work culture now than we did 40, 50 years ago, because 40, 50 years ago, you could build those big iconic buildings downtown. And if the guy that signed the lease for the office space had a spot in the basement, that's all they needed. And then everybody else just had to walk.
People reported to work and were told what to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And now that doesn't work at all. And I don't know that it worked as well as people thought it did, but that doesn't work. That's not coming back. Yeah. And, there's, every workplace now it's very flat, a hierarchy and of equality, which is great. And I think cultures at companies are better for it, but it makes it harder for architects.
Well, our firm could save a lot of money if we would move into the core of downtown. We would get a much better lease rate, but then our people, and particularly our women, would have to walk further. And in inclement weather or maybe after hours when they don't really want to be walking, and so it's a quality of life. It's an employee. So
there's a bifurcation though between my head being the Republicans, like laissez-faire, don't get in people's business, versus the city needs to be proactive about this, and the city needs to put some resources towards this. Like, what is the next step for the city to, like, we talked with Jennifer about, this pre-period with the convention center being built and doing infrastructure and a lot of things that you're talking about right now. Like, what are some infrastructure things that we can focus on now that could get some sites ready for development or redevelopment or parking or downtown that the city can be involved in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So here's one thing. I haven't given a lot of thought to that question, but one thing that has come to mind is I love the Downtown Parks program. And there were some great leaders that invested lots of time on that and succeeded and created some great parks. I'd like to see that attention to placemaking and to quality of environment applied to all of our sidewalks, all of our streets, all of our curbs, all of the fabric of the city between these parks.
You know, you go to town of Highland Park, and it doesn't matter what day it is, there's somebody taking senior pictures or wedding pictures because there's all these very highly cultivated spaces where people can do that. Yeah. We need people to think, oh, I want to do a baby picture. I'm going to go downtown because that's great. I mean, and you don't have to do it everywhere, but we need more places that are noteworthy.
Well, I want to go back to NorthPark, and we talked about the stewardship the family has invested in the common areas. They're beautiful.
They are.
They're comfortable. They're well lit. They're safe. They're clean. They've got really creative landscaping in them. They have fountains. You know, that sort of thinking applied multiple blocks through downtown. I love the parks. I think some of them are a little big to really be successful. I think maybe we overshot on a couple of them.
But to your point, if we could,
my opinion.
And you and I have done this for years together, you know, created nodes, placemaking. Like if you could create a cool restaurant node around a park that's too large, like what a great opportunity to utilize both.
Well, I think the Clyde Warren Me Casino is
perfect, genius. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
I mean,
love it.
There's probably enough room at Carpenter Park to do that.
Yeah. Enough room at Carpenter Park. Pacific Plaza is the one I think of as being it's just a big park.
It is.
You know.
But it's probably hard to get those restaurateurs to come there without, having the occupancy in the buildings and what they need to have the people come for lunch. It's like I know on the Clyde Warren on the uptown side right there, those restaurants do really, really well. But is there enough people downtown daily living?
There are more people down there than you think there are.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people downtown are driving uptown to eat lunch, probably.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
I was for a year.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about City Hall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's duke it out.
All right.
First of all, who is I.M. Pei? I know who he is, but like we were talking before the show, like pretty significant stuff that he's done.
Yeah, that's true because when we brought it up a couple of shows ago, I'm unsophisticated. I think we all know that. So I didn't know who he was, but then I was thinking, well, he must be just big time Texas architect, and everybody, they're just, they don't want to see anything change in Dallas. But I mean, after talking to Tip, he was like, he did the review of the Louvre and Paris. So I'm like, oh, okay.
It was kind of a big deal.
So why, and he is a big deal in Dallas. Of a lot of cities, we have a real affinity for his work.
It sounds like worldwide, right? I mean,
yeah. And so I believe that firmly. I believe in his legacy, but that's not going to move the needle on the argument here in Dallas about City Hall.
I teased Tip, and he didn't wear his I Am Pay button today about Save City Hall, but I teased him is that I know a few people that are I Am Pay fans. I know a lot of people with Mavericks T-shirts and jerseys at home.
Well, but at the beginning, y'all told me, there's probably, it's in thirds. Third or for it, third or against it, and there's a third in the middle don't even know this is an issue. So tell us what the issue is, and then tell us why y'all have some opposing.
Well, I think there are a couple things here.
There's two separate issues that have been conflated as one issue.
That's right.
That's the fundamental problem here.
Dallas City Hall has been starved of maintenance funds for decades, literally decades, and there were structural problems with the building,
waterproofing problems.
That date to almost as it opened.
Yes.
So now the second one is there's a thought that that's a key site where
there's a thought that we need a new arena for the Mavericks.
That's right.
Now there you go.
That they like.
Now you're conflating these two
Okay.
things. They are
Right.
separate things.
They are separate.
Yes,
They're just going on at the same time.
They're going on at the same time.
Are they equally as important with
Yes,
one another?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Problems equally as
They're hard. They're both hard.
Yeah, they're both hard. Yeah.
I think when City Hall, and I'm just suspicious by nature, when City Hall was not included in the last bond package, I immediately said, "Oh, that they're going to get rid of City Hall." And I remember my longtime colleague Carl Crawley. Carl was like, "Oh, you're always trying to read the tea leaves." And now it looks like I'm not as crazy as I was when that happened.
You called it, yeah.
So, but they are separate issues.
When did so it sounds like the first issue, structural water, was the first issue, and then the second issue is the potential site for the Mavericks, or that's the site they think would be right. So when did that issue start?
Well, it's been percolating for probably a couple of years,
Yes.
and it's just kind of
In the last 3 months, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious that the teams are not going to, both teams are not going to stay in the American Airlines Center, even though it's still a perfectly good arena. But the world of professional sports has changed.
Mm-hmm.
The teams have the leverage. There are non-dart cities that have the penny that they would be happy to spend to have either of the teams.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that the only or best site for the Mavericks city?
Exactly. And no one has explained that, and no one, and so it's been presented to us as a binary decision. Either you tear down City Hall or you keep the Mavericks, and there's no discussion of analyzing each of these individually. Is this really, do you really need that? Look, there are 30 to 40 acres of available land between the new convention center footprint and City Hall. You're telling me that that's not enough land for the Sands Corporation to do an arena and the mixed use they want to do?
How much land is American Airlines Center on now?
The footprint of that arena is like 5 acres or something. I mean, I don't quote me, but it's nothing like 30.
So 5 to 10 would be enough, basically.
Well, but
there's obviously surrounding.
The sports model today says that you've got your venue plus 20, 30 acres
that you control.
Victory is 20, 30 acres victory area.
Well, okay, but the issue is that the Adelson family doesn't control Victory.
Right.
They don't. They don't get to choose what happens in Victory. They don't get to develop the uses they want.
So they want in the next arena. They want more control.
They want a much bigger, game board to do an arena and a bunch of other things. And
they're probably a good family. If they had it, they're probably a good family to do it because they're experienced in this. It sounds like.
Well, a thought is the people I guess that I've talked to that are saying this is the site, this is the site they like the best, and maybe they'd move their company or some of their companies here and it'd go with the arena and this mixed use thing. Mm-hmm. That does sound enticing, but they also did the same thing when they, the thought was that when City Hall gets built and the new library and they redid the 500 Hervé building, that was supposed to improve that part of downtown. One of the real problems, and I haven't heard anybody really start talking about, is that is always, in my lifetime, that part of downtown has always been bad.
It's always languished.
Yes, and I don't even, languish is a nice way to say bad. Yeah.
Well, I'm
sure.
nicer than
you.
Dallas.
No doubt. No doubt.
I'm nicer than Dallas. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's a problem, and we were in that 500 Hervé building for. Our company was for 25 years.
Oh, man.
Then we moved to Founders Square. I mean, this has been my part of downtown.
The big issue for the people that don't want to get rid of City Hall is the big issue because it's designed by a famous designer. Is that the single issue, or is there more to it than that?
It's an iconic building to many, myself included. It carries symbolic meaning. The seat of our government. It represents our city. It's part of who we are. It's got a wonderful story that ties back to the best mayor the city ever had, the first Eric Johnson, and the
no relation to the current Eric Johnson.
The motivation for why it was built in the years that followed the Kennedy assassination, and his commitment to kind of remaking the image of the city.
Yeah.
And so there are a number of us that think that counts for something. And, that's I think that we can't forget that. Great cities all over the world have great civic architecture. They have they speak to people about who they are. And this conversation that our city hall is just a functional thing that can be stuffed in
that's one of the problems.
office building.
It's not functional.
It can be made functional. It's a great,
Maybe it's hard to move around in the building.
Well, yeah, because it's had piecemeal renovations.
That's right.
They get
all from the start.
From the start. So it's got 50 years of piecemeal space planning, and then it's got all the issues that an airport of that generation has that it hasn't adapted to the security needs of the world we live in today. That can be fixed. We haven't torn down terminals A, B, C, and E at DFW Airport, which are the same vintage, have some of the same issues. And they've been renovated.
The Mavericks don't want to play there.
No, they don't want to play.
And you and I have talked about this. That when this was voted on by the council in the '60s, my dad was the only one to vote against the building
Against City Hall.
Against City Hall, he was the only councilman to vote against it. And as a civil engineer, and I would say he didn't like that design of the building. It didn't appeal to him, and. I'm not a giant fan either, but I'm also no judge of architecture because I have no training in it. So I don't. I know I don't know. I'm not really qualified to assess is it good. But he also thought way too many atriums to heat and cool. He didn't think those windows would work, on a maintenance one. And he's been right on all those. But the main reason he voted against it was when they built the building, it was not big enough to house all the departments. Even then, when they opened the building, and he's like, let's build a bigger building and a better building so that it's efficient. But this remains a problem of if you were to fix City Hall, it's going to cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
You'd have to expand it.
And it's still a very difficult building.
But Dallas, then why do the numbers that represent moving to a leased office building?
Oh, I don't want.
Why are they saying 400,000 square feet when City Hall is 775,000 square feet? So where did the other 375,000 square feet go?
I think leasing a building would be a terrible idea. If they're going to do something, they should buy a building. And they should actually this time buy a building they can occupy. That might be a good idea. That 7,800. And this is a reason why, I think your camp, and I don't know that I'm not sure I really want to build the Mavericks an arena. But I'm also pretty sure I don't want to lose the Mavericks from the city of Dallas. I know you don't either. You're a basketball guy.
Yeah. That's the biggest misnomer is arenas do not, think about every arena in the country. Where do they have great placemaking and great retail?
Madison Square Garden.
Great retail.
They overpromise and they underdeliver.
Well, Madison Square Garden's in a cool area. You have a great experience.
So that one is such an outlier because
I'm talking about where do in anywhere else in the country besides Manhattan?
I think American Airlines Center is pretty good. There's a lot of game day activity
around there.
It does, but the office does well, and there are people there.
But the office does well despite the
I agree.
Arena. Yeah. The arena doesn't add to it.
It never worked.
So here's the deal. This debate, we're talking about tearing down a 100-year building, in my opinion. The City Hall is a 100-year
or longer.
Or longer. And replace it with a land use that has a 20-year shelf life. Because every 20 years,
they want a new one.
They want a new arena. That was the situation with Reunion. That was the situation with AAC.
And Reunion was a good arena.
Madison Square Garden, they haven't has maintained it,
but they've redone it like it's new.
But you can redo them.
Yes,
they don't have to move.
We've got a nice arena at AAC that has been an anchor at Victory, which, by the way, the Victory neighborhood has taken 20 to 25 years to get to what it is today.
But it's pretty good now.
It is. Okay.
It's got the grocery store.
And so we're going to start over.
Those restaurants near the arena, they, on an off game night?
I'm not saying the retail works great, but it does work okay during the day and on the weekends when there's not a game. The problem often down there is on game day because it's hard to get home from work. People make other choices.
It's both. During game day, you're never going to go down there to go eat if you're not going to the game.
That's right.
But if it's not a game day, there's nobody down there.
Well, we're going to put 800,000 square feet of Goldman Sachs right next to it, which is going to help.
I believe, like we did the Union. The Union's been a really successful project that most people think is just part of it. We need more down there, not less.
Yeah, we do. We do.
It's certainly an area that is, I'd say it's on the good part of the scale. It doesn't need improvement. Whatever it happens.
Do you think a new arena in the City Hall area improves that part of Dallas you said always kind of lagged?
No, it would require tremendous amount. I mean, and I don't know that it would provide that much help going towards the Cedars.
Yeah.
It's going to require a whole lot more than just an arena.
Yeah. And so if then the Sands Corporation builds an arena and then they kind of pause and wait to see what the state legislature does about gambling and so nothing happens because what they really want to build is a casino, which by the way is a black box or blank box. It's all internalized, doesn't have anything to do with the street. I'm just kind of.
By the way, they're putting some major money into the media right now. Every local news is running exposés on the big bet. And I can't believe how favorable it is to gambling.
I don't want a casino downtown.
I don't either.
Or in DFW.
I like to gamble far away from my home on a vacation.
I run a small business. I get all the gambling I need.
Yeah. Amen.
You've been in the same line of work for a long time. I mean,
something that no one has talked about, but I actually did a little check-in on this with a very respected developer here in town. He came back and said it was not a crazy idea. Is sell City Hall to a developer who then leases it back to the city. And part of that lease rate has amortizes the cost of improvements to the City Hall, and it gets the city out of the business of running the building.
AT&T did, sort of with their buildings.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Then it becomes the new owner's responsibility to maintain the roof and make sure the elevators are operating and all that stuff, because the city is demonstrated they don't have the ability.
Isn't that a problem, a structural problem about our government? If we can't take care of our buildings, shouldn't we be able to do that?
That's another podcast.
That's surprising.
It is. Maybe I'll write a column about that. I have.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to maintain your building. It's just doing it.
That we elect people to council and to mayor that don't have any understanding of real estate and property and the assets the city has.
Right. And that's true in every city.
As soon as this debate about the City Hall is over with, we're going to have the same debate about the library.
Well, let's talk about that. And I was on the library board, and I love books and was an academic at one time. Lillian Bradshaw is one of the most important, department heads. She built a great library system. At one point, Dallas really had the nation's best library system.
Really?
I believe, though, that the library site is, the library world's changed. We need a downtown branch library that works for the residents there, which opens up that block, part of that block for a new building or a new idea or something. We do not need that large. And then I'd move archives and all those sorts of things to Fair Park.
That's a cool idea.
Thank you.
I like that.
What is usage of libraries? I would assume it's gone way down over the years, but
it's different. Libraries now are people work on their resumes there. They're all kind of programs. I mean, I think the city's trying to rethink what libraries are. There were some successful ones where the branch library is next to an elementary school. There's some that we did when I was on the library board. They have kind of a black box theater in it for some community arts sorts of things. I mean, if we're going to do things, we need them to be activated for sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I would hate to see libraries go away.
Keep them. The libraries are useful. It's just that is a ginormous building downtown that's underutilized, and it's mostly a day shelter for the homeless. Is what it is.
It's a day shelter.
Yeah,
and it's got all the same deferred maintenance issues that City Hall has.
Yeah,
it's time. City, I assume.
It's time to give up on it.
Yeah. The only time
do you agree? It's time to give up on that.
I could let go of that one.
Okay, we agree on that one. All right.
Yeah, the only time I was in the downtown library recently was a couple years ago, and a homeless person who was on something K2, I think, lost his mind, and there was a young child that was walking with it, and he started to rush this kid, and really scary moment. And like that just can't be,
It's a
it's
real
the
problem.
opposite of what a library should be.
Right. So the library is not a famous architect building that could be moved somewhere else and reutilized for.
It was a really good Dallas architect, but I would not elevate it to the level of famous Fisher and Spillman.
Oh yeah, okay.
F&S. Yeah. They're a great firm.
Yeah, well, the downtown just seems it's. I like I've said on the show, I'm just really, really rooting for it. I want it to be. I want to always say when I'm, somewhere and somebody asks where you're from, and I say from Dallas, I want them to think, man, that's a cool city, and it's really nice. Like when I was there last time, I walked downtown, and it was awesome.
Well,
I don't want them thinking like, oh man, they're on their way down.
And I think Tip brought up a good point pre-show is that, or maybe Tyler did too, that tearing down that building would have a negative impact on sort of world opinion about what are you guys doing? I mean, that's sort of you guys are a bunch of yahoos.
I mean, I'm a Dallas citizen lifelong, and I even get tired of hearing about how we're going to be a world-class city or how we are a world-class city. Okay.
You could play a good drinking game listening to council people talk about that. World-class this and world-class that.
What makes it a world-class city?
That people who just do it don't talk about it. That's what it is.
You don't need to keep trying to convince yourself, but if that's what you're really committed to, then okay, you're going to tear down an internationally renowned architect's city hall, which is that's just.
Could the city hall be reused? Could city hall go somewhere else, but you keep the building and reuse it?
In my opinion, and this was not my idea, but I'm going to quote it, you could move the Dallas College headquarters in there, the what we call El Centro, and the Dallas College administration in there. That it could function, I think, very nicely as an educational facility
for people coming regionally into that space.
And they've got the Dallas College has problems with funding, just like all these entities do, and so I think it could make a lot of sense.
Well, it sounds like, to your point, there's enough land downtown to do an arena without knocking down City Hall.
Yes.
You could repurpose City Hall to a better use than actually the city being in there, and then the city could buy a building, go somewhere else.
And I think the City Hall could be made to work much, much better for city government if someone had the vision. There have been a lot of business leaders whom I respect and who I count as friends that have written that, well, really to be visionary and to save downtown, we need to knock down City Hall. Well, I agree with the first part. We need to be visionary and bold about downtown, but I don't understand how step one is tear down the City Hall.
Well, I mean, not really having an opinion before, I'm kind of convinced that, it sounds like the building's cool enough and enough people like it that you keep it, but it doesn't really work.
It doesn't work.
Another real problem is it's a barrier to hiring and keeping employees. It's not a friendly building to be in.
If you hate your office because it leaks or whatever, you probably start looking for another.
They do.
Job.
It's been a problem.
We need good people in city government because that's why we can't maintain a building because the people we have just maybe aren't getting it done.
We need, and no disrespect to anyone that works at City Hall, but we need to elevate the quality of the people.
Amen.
We need to push for that. My experience on City Planning Commission for 8 years now, I get tired of people come down that fight the things about mixed use and about density and all this stuff. And yet they get on airplanes and they fly to Europe or they fly to Asia and say, that's the greatest city.
Because they like the density.
And they love it. And the whole experience that they come back raving about is based on the very things that they fight us about at Plan Commission. Yeah. And part of this, I would go back to the idea that we need civic architecture, not just commercial architecture. We need a soul to our city.
Yeah.
Not, it's just not all dollars and cents everywhere.
Well, that's a super point. And, when we were down there the other day, I was going on and on. Tyler probably got tired of me talking about just how much I love the Adolphus and just the amazing architecture that is and just the craftsmanship that went into buildings. Now we just, we build big glass things, and they have cool shapes.
But I was thinking about that last night. Let's say that AT&T said, you know what, we'll stay downtown if you'll build us a new 50, 60-story building and where the Adolphus is and tear down the Adolphus.
No.
So that
That would be
to me,
sacrilege
that's the same question that we're being presented with this Maverick situation.
in the city hall.
Yeah.
I think we've solved it. I think
I don't
you
think
keep
so.
city hall. You
one of the
repurpose
problems
it for
is
another
it
use.
is very the city not taking care of it over so long a period of time. It makes it hard to
sell it
to fix it. I mean, it's much like they also, the city has mismanaged DART and their relationship with the suburban cities.
Was a good story you wrote.
Thank you. That it's going to kill DART. I thought my DART analogy was good. Death awareness response team.
Yeah.
It's mean, but it's true. I mean, we're at a important crossroads. I don't really want to say tipping point. I think it'd be too easy a joke, but I mean, what do you think's holding back the city overall? I know, I go to a lot of the same meetings you do. What do you think's holding us back? Not just downtown, but everywhere.
The scope of what people are trying to do in City Hall has become unreasonably large, and they need to focus on more basic things. They need to focus on basic services. They need to focus on reining in the budget so that they've got the money to pay people to have better employees at City Hall. We need to stop trying to do all this, these social things. The poster child about this that just got my blood pressure up probably 6 months or a year ago was this story about this totally mismanaged program at City Hall about getting lead paint out of people's homes. And they're like millions of dollars, like nobody knows where it went. None of the homes got repaired. It's like, why are we doing this? Why is that our job?
That doesn't sound like the city's.
Yeah. So, I think focusing on the basic services, and then we need leadership to guide us through issues like we're having right now with the Mavericks and with City Hall. And as Dallas has pointed out in a couple of his pieces, we just have an absence in the mayor's seat.
They had a meeting of all the mayors for DART, and ours and Dallas doesn't show up.
I mean, this is exactly what our system, our governance system in the city of Dallas is built for, is so that there is a person that can lead through some of these thorny issues.
American Airlines Center and Victory would not have gotten done without Ron Kirk.
Sure.
Just end of story. Stop.
Right.
And we have a weak mayor form of government, except when we have a good one, and then they have all the power they need.
Right.
Rawlings and Leppert were both very good leaders, and I think continue to be important leaders in the community. But we don't have that right now.
And when's the next election for mayor?
18 months.
Yeah.
18 months.
18 months. Yeah.
Well, vote appropriately, Dallas. Sounds like we need it.
Yeah. 2 or 3 council persons really aren't going to solve this.
No.
It needs
Do you think
the
we
gravitas
need
of the
a
mayor.
council that has an at-large seat
Oh, for sure. I will.
to break some votes? Like that was always when we were dealing with Adam. Like he was great, but you just don't have any. You have everybody fighting for their own district.
Well, 14. I joke that the Dallas's form of government is 14-1 is 14 mayors and 1 person that runs the meeting.
Yeah.
And it's much worse. And just going back to my late father's advice, he actually always lived in Lakewood, but he served as both a place member and as an at-large person.
Okay.
And and I think you see this in Irving as well. Places that have at-large members, the district people take care of the district, but it lets some other people be able to think larger about right now. The last time I really remember a council member taking on something outside their district is the great Bill Blades.
Yeah.
Bill Blades, it would not be for him, we wouldn't have the inland port.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know Bill took heat in y'all's district, in the People's Republic of Lake Highlands, that you should be focused on your district. He was creating millions of dollars of taxable value in an area that didn't have it. And that's where maybe the at-large member could have a huge impact on lifting the whole city, while the district people.
I would love that.
Right.
Guys, we are out of time. They're going to kick us
what
out of the
happens.
studio.
Okay.
I thought it was a great conversation. We'd love to have you back on, Tip, to
Anytime.
keep talking. And I think what we just ended on there is you need to get out and vote in your local elections. It's the thing that impact you the most. You know, if you, your family, and the neighborhood you're living in. So go vote. The voting is pathetic when you look at the local elections and how many people actually complain but don't actually go to the polls and vote.
It may get better now that we're moving to November, or maybe moving to November.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here. We'll see you next time. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been a Working Title Show.
Yeah.